Hey everyone, thanks for joining the webinar today. I'm just waiting for a few more people to trickle in and then I will get started. Hey Enrique, hey Ashley, hey George, thanks for joining. By the way, if you guys have any questions before we begin today, feel free to put it in the chat box. Or if I don't get to your question before we start, then we could save it for the Q&A and I'll read off your questions. All right, it looks like the majority of people who registered have entered, so I'm gonna get started. You guys can see my screen, correct? All right, great. All right, so welcome to WorkClout. Our webinar topic for today is how to use WorkClout to streamline and automate safety, quality, and productivity. The agenda is essentially, I have 5 points that I wanted to go over for this agenda. I'm gonna try to keep this webinar relatively short, just so we have enough time for Q&A, and then also, I know your time is money, so I wanna make sure I am mindful of your time. If you want to contact me, my email address is arjun@workclout.com. By the way, I forgot to introduce myself, so sorry about that. My name is Arjun Patel. I'm a product expert here at WorkClout. I lead product demos. I'm also involved with the product team and have a lot of knowledge about how to use a product and for what use cases. I actually used to work in manufacturing myself. I was a deskless worker as a plant manager, and now I'm using that knowledge to help other companies that I've worked for or that I've seen help streamline their safety and quality, which I did a lot of when I was working in manufacturing. All right, so the agenda items for today is one, we're gonna go over the state of inspections, which basically refers to where inspection started from and where it is going today. Second is how have people that use WorkClout, what were their use cases, what types of industries, what types of business sizes are they in? Then the third point is how do you actually communicate the ROI of going digital to your managers or to your bosses or maybe just to a team? And also how does that ROI make you look good in your own personal job, because that's important too. And then the fourth point is we're going to go through a mini product demo. I'm just going to show you how to build an inspection, how to issue corrective actions, what types of reports can you actually get from WorkClout. If you want a more in-depth product demo, feel free to book one on the website, or I'll send a link afterwards in a follow-up email. And then fifth, we'll just go over a Q&A of any questions that you guys have, and we'll go over that, and hopefully we can answer some of the questions. All right, let's get started. All right. So before we get to our agenda item number one, I just wanted to go over what WorkClout is. Just briefly, WorkClout is the #1 rated digital inspection tool and work instruction software for deskless workforces. We've started relatively recently in 2017, and we've already been established as one of the market leaders and category leaders in the marketplace for inspections and work instructions. Capterra has given us the gracious award of best value and best ease of use. This is the most recent ranking of 2020, and Software Advice gave us the most recommended and best customer support. And then GetApp listed us as a category leader in ease of use, value for money, likelihood to recommend, customer support, and functionality. All right. So the state of inspections. It's funny because the state of inspections 1.0 was paper. We wanted to capture information to prevent the problem from happening before. But ironically, paper is more of a retrospective thing than a proactive thing. It helps maybe the worker understand what they need to look out for in the beginning, but then the data that's stored on the paper just remains on the paper. So if you have 400 inspections per week or something like that, then it's just going to be stuck in that paper record until someone manually goes through it and analyzes what went wrong, what went right. So I would say it's a more reactive measure than a proactive measure. And that's been around for like since centuries, probably the 1800s, I'm sure. And slowly, with the boom of Microsoft happening in the 90s, everyone went to Excel, and they really adopted that. And for the first time, we had a digital solution for inspections that really helped people streamline a lot of things. And it helped them so much that people still use Excel to this very day. We've seen Fortune 500 companies use Excel, and it's been working for them, but there's always room for improvement. And there's also room for like having more automation. And especially going into 2020, we've seen how much automation has saved companies, how much has made companies money. And that's why, Inspection 3.0, there's a whole transition from Excel to mobile apps. So it's more mobile friendly to get on the workforce and actually have a more cross-platform way of interacting with your inspections. And now we're entering an age of Inspections 4.0, which I refer to as interconnectivity. Basically, it's more than just being cross-platform on mobile apps, but there's also the complete customization. So you can still have that customization of Excel, but have the robustness of a database. And that's what interconnectivity is all about. Plus, it's not just on web platform or mobile apps. It's also what else can be connected. What else can be, what other data can you collect from physical items in your operations? And that's where sensors come in. And now there's even more to it, right? There's all this tribal knowledge in all these people's heads, your workers, your managers, maybe even your customers. You have all this knowledge wrapped up in people's heads, and it's not being documented because it's hard to document things sometimes, or procedures or SOPs. And it's because it's not driven by operations. It's someone having to sit down and manually put in all that information. What WorkClout does with Inspection 4.0 is we try to make that process as easy as possible. So knowledge is being accumulated over time, and it's not just a data dump from one person. And then on top of all this, with data, a lot of people have data analytics reports, but very few people have machine learning. And machine learning puts all of this data together and gives you better insights on what to look out for and what to predict might happen in the future. And I would say there's a lot of elements to interconnectivity, but essentially it's the next step, the next evolution of inspections. And WorkClout is, I can say this with confidence, WorkClout is the only Inspections 4.0 solution on the marketplace today. And we hope to be the market leader going forward into not just this century, but the century beyond. All right, so that's the state of inspections. So we're at agenda item number 2, use cases and industries that we serve. So what can you use WorkClout for? I'll tell you, a lot. The use cases that you see on the screen right here are typical use cases that our clients have seen success in terms of what they're looking to achieve, whether that's safety inspections, quality inspections, incident management, which is also corrective actions, collecting data, automating and streamlining their audits, compliance, and ISO, so it's not much of a heavy burden, doing daily checks and maintenance, maybe even connecting to another CMMS, or maybe even using our actions feature as maintenance work orders, and also work instructions, knowledge management, skills management, and standard operating procedures. Wow, that was a mouthful. But we cover a lot of use cases, and if you're asking yourself, why am I on this webinar, and why I don't see a use case that's relevant to you, maybe WorkClout's not the best fit if these aren't your typical use cases. But this is what we can do really well, but this is not the limited amount of things that we can accomplish with WorkClout because of how universal the application actually is. So what types of industries do we work with? We work with a wide range of industries: facility management, property management, retail, transportation, logistics, healthcare, manufacturing, construction. You might be thinking, this kind of concerns me because I want to work with someone that actually understands my industry and understands my use case. So to answer that, we hire people specifically that is knowledgeable in these industries, who have worked in these industries before. So for instance, I know manufacturing really well. I've worked in manufacturing. So I make sure that we're not offering a cookie cutter solution to what you need just because we're trying to fit whatever we have to your use case. We legitimately understand what your use case might be when you come to us, and we can speak your language, and we won't match you with someone that doesn't understand your industry. You're going to understand what they're talking about because it is your use case. So that's just a brief spiel of what we do with what types of work environments that we work with. All right, agenda item number 3, ROI. So I'm not exaggerating, or I'm not being hyperbolic. This is the traditional type of productivity savings that we save our companies that use WorkClout within the first month. I know that seems like a big number, especially for a monthly recurrence, but essentially this data set was pulled from from our existing clientele, and they've reported how much they've saved since that. And this has been the average number of savings that they've experienced using WorkClout just after 1 month. So you can see, this is just a manufacturing one, but typical use cases have seen the same result. Their processes were a lot more prolonged. They weren't understanding where the bottlenecks were. They weren't understanding what is actually failing, why our compliance is taking so long, etc. With WorkClout, you're able to streamline and automate that really well, and that saves your workers an incredible amount of time, so they could focus on the work at hand rather than focusing on the information that they need to receive. And you could see the results before and after really well in just 1 month. So if you have to communicate this to your manager, you could say, we're going to be saving a third of 2/3 more time by switching to a digital solution, because it's going to automate a lot of stuff that we do manually. And if you're able to show this type of ROI to your manager or to your corporation, you are for sure going to get raised. We've seen people get raises countless times because they made the decision, I'm going to use WorkClout over other systems because I've seen the ROI, they have numbers, they have case studies, and we've experienced these ROIs. And when you get set up with your customer success manager, they'll help you, understand what ROI looks like for you. So you're in a good spot to look good and also save your company a lot of money. I'll send this deck over after this call or after this webinar, so you guys can look into more in depth in our philosophy on how we think about calculating ROI. All right, so that was the main 3 action items I had for the deck, and now we're actually going to go into the product demonstration, so I could show you a little bit about WorkClout and how it actually works and how it functions. So give me 1 second. I'm going to switch my screen over, and we will get started. Give me 1 second. All right, I have the application loaded now. You probably saw me pause for a quick second. So the agenda I had for the product demonstration was 1, to build an inspection. So we'll go through the building inspection process. 2, issuing a corrective action, and 3, analyzing reports that happen. And that'll be a good overview just to get a little tease on what WorkClout can do. And then you could download it yourself after this webinar and try to play around with yourself or book a product demo. All right, so let's get started. So what I'm going to do, I just logged into my demo account. This is just for the manufacturing environment that we have. The first place I'm going to go to is a form template. And a form template allows you to create any types of customization that you need to collect for data perspective. So let's go into an existing one that I created so far. So I am going to edit this form. So when you're creating a form, you could customize a look any way you want. You could add images, you could add videos. So let me add new fields. So these are some of the field selection items that we give you. Whether you want to create a checklist, whether you want to reference certain users, you have the ability to do so. So let's say I wanted to, I wanted someone to select who is supervising. But instead of having everyone available for them to choose, I only want a certain team to be able to be selected. So I'm going to select the maintenance team. The maintenance team is, so they'll only be able to select users in the maintenance team when they select this option. So each field, you'll notice, will have different types of customizations available, just like this. And let's say I don't want it over here. I'll drag and drop. I can put it here. Actually, I don't want it to take over the whole screen. So I'm going to make it just this part, and I'm going to move this around, and they can decide from there. All right, so I have these customizations I can do. I could choose a template option, whether it's like good, fair, poor, etc. These are global responses, what we call, but I'll leave it at pass and fail. I could mark an answer as failed. So this is really important for reporting purposes. So when they are when the workers are filling out the inspection forms, they'll be able to mark a fail or pass, and you could say what is considered a failed answer. And that could even issue an automation trigger to notify people that this has failed. So you could set up triggers that way when you do that as well. You could also change the colors. So if I didn't want this green, let's say I wanted it blue instead, I'm able to change the colors to anything I want. I could add more options, or I could subtract more options as well. You could see I uploaded a few images. You could also upload videos or other files that you need to reference, and you could drag and drop and create this. So when you press publish, I'm creating a new version of this. So the form has been updated. So this was the form, and I could see the version history on when this form was updated and what has changed. And this could also go through an approval flow. So for every form that is changed, and let's go back into this. So for instance, I set myself as a form approver. So if anyone else wanted to change this form, the changes wouldn't be reflected until I approve it on my approval dashboard. So I could see that, you know, someone is adjusting one of the documents that I created, and I could see the changes in blue. I could approve or deny. I could add comments, etc. All right, so that was on building a form inspection. I know that was a little bit FTE. So what we'll do is we'll create a brand new one, and I'll show you what it looks like when you build it from scratch. So I'm going to create just a quality inspection. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just add a header. I'll drag it so I could manipulate it any way I want. Quality inspection. And then I could add various fields. So I'm going to add a single selection field, drag it across. I'll just add a global response. Were there any defects? Actually, I'll change this to yes and no. And then take a picture if failed. And then I could add information too. So let me just upload something. So this is an instructional image for them to reference. So this is a good enough form so far. So what I'll do is I'll publish this. All right. I already have one that exists. So we do have validation that tells you, you know, you already have this name. So I'm going to put quality inspection number 2, and I'll publish this. And from here, I could create the inspection. So I created the template. Now I can actually create the inspection. So I'm going to have this as on demand instead of a standard. A standard is more of a one-off inspection. You can assign it to someone. On demand is anyone could reference this inspection and execute it right away. I could add a tag to it. So I'll put a quality tag. I could link this to an asset. So let's just say I have a work center. So I'm linking that to the asset. If there's any SOPs or work instructions that they need to reference, I could attach it to this inspection as well. And then I could require sign off after they're done with that inspection, time tracking, etc. And let me create this inspection here. And then when they start the inspection, you know, this is also on a mobile device. This is what it looked like. So it automatically got assigned to me because I referenced it. I could click yes. I could upload an image. I could add comments. I'm starting this inspection. Everything's real time, so this is like your chat window. And now let's say no, I could upload an image and I could create an action item. Quality defect. I'm going to assign this to Angela. It should be due by end of the week, and I'll put this as a medium, and I'll add an action tag. I can add an image or video, and I can create the action. So that's one way of creating an action. And when we actually go into the actions tab, you could see that I just created this quality defect action, and Angela needs to resolve it. So she could comment on it. It already notified her, and it tells you the status date, etc. So I just went over building an inspection, executing an inspection, issuing a corrective action, and now we'll actually go into reports. So I know we're running a little over time. So what I'll do is just briefly show you like a screenshot of a report. Now I'll go into reports. So give me 1 second. I'm just gonna change my screen. All right, can you guys see my screen right here? All right, great, I got a thumbs up from someone. So this is an example of a typical report that you could find for each inspection. So for instance, let's say we use that quality inspection that we just created. This would be like a summary of anyone that completed that, an aggregate of anyone that completed that summary. We'll show you, how many people actually responded, how many people, what their answers were for a certain thing, how many failure items occurred. You're able to see like any types of reports that you want to see. We have available. You could see, like how many inspections were closed, what were the failed responses, and then drill down into what was actually the failed responses. So as I mentioned before, we have, our reporting is a lot more robust than other solutions out there. You can also export these reports to Excel, Tableau, any other system that you want if you want to manipulate it even further. But we at least give you the relevant data that you need to take action to help streamline your quality and safety and productivity just in general. Let me show you how else you could drill down into these analytics. Give me 1 second. I'm going to switch my screen. All right. So when you go back onto this, this is an example of how you could drill down on some of the analytics reports. So let's say if I just wanted to watch, see in the last 30 days, how many inspections are in progress. So it seems like only one was, so not that much, but let's see how many people have open inspections in the last 30 days. So it's just calculating, and there's definitely a lot more that were open. So now I know to get on, now I know to investigate why these inspections were remained open. Rather, you definitely see All right, so let me stop sharing my screen. I'm going to leave the rest for Q&A. So let me switch my. All right, just to recap, we've gone over the state of inspection tools, inspections 1.0 being paper, inspection 4.0 being WorkClout. And everything else in between is either Excel or maybe an existing app that you might be using. 2 is use cases and industries that WorkClout has solved for and seen successful implementations of. And 3 was seeing the ROI of going digital, which was significant. And we hope to provide the same ROI for you if you decide to use WorkClout. And then 4, I showed you a mini product demo on how to build an inspection, how to issue a corrective action, how to analyze reports. And that product demonstration was just a high-level preview. We go way more in depth in a product demo. So if you want to book a product demo to go more in depth, feel free to book one on our website or email me. I'm happy to go on one personally with one of you guys. And then, or you could just, I'll send you a link afterwards. All right, so now let's get into Q&A. I was going to answer a lot more questions, but I know I'm running a little over time. So I want to be mindful of your time. So instead of me doing Q&A live, what I'll do is I will email you each individually of all the questions you asked. So I'll spend so take a few moments to ask any questions you have, and then I'll make sure to email all the questions and answers after this webinar. All right, thank you everyone for your time. I know we spent some time together today, and I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Let me just move this. And if you want to contact me, feel free to reach out to this email. I'll send you a follow-up email anyway, but just in case, here it is. And I also answer my text. So this is my personal work phone number. So if you want to text me instead of calling me, you can, or you can call me. I'm open to either. Well, hope you guys have a great day. And if you have any additional questions, make sure to type them out and send them to me or email them to me. All right. Well, thanks everyone for hopping on, and I hope 2020 brings prosperity instead of disparity. All right. Bye-bye.